As always, guys, get your score predictions down in the comments below. Let me know if you'd make any changes to that starting 11. What is up, guys? It's James from Cop Logic. Welcome back to the channel. The international break is over. Premier League football is back, and Liverpool begin with a Merseyside derby at Anfield. It's a 12:30 kickoff, a little bit controversial in itself. So let's dive into this match preview. So normally we'd start talking about form. Everyone, I think, at this point knows about Liverpool's form. We come off the back of a draw against Brighton. Getting a point from Brighton away is not that bad considering how good of a team they are these days. So I think we'll take it. And if we don't talk about the Tottenham game for obvious reasons, then Liverpool are in an undefeated season minus that Tottenham game. So we are definitely in good form. And another little bit of good news is that in terms of the international break, a lot of our players went away and had really great international breaks. You know, a couple of moments that come to mind are Virgil with the last minute penalty. Darwin Núñez had two really good games away for Uruguay. The highlight probably being the Brazil game where he got a goal and an assist and a 2-0 win for Uruguay. Harvey Elliott in the under-21s getting the armband as well. So generally a really good international break. Not so much for Andrew Robertson. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Moving on to Everton and their form. Well, they come off the back of a solid 3-0 win over Bournemouth. So they're probably in good spirits. Morale will be high. But otherwise, you know, they've had a terrible season. They lost to the likes of Luton this season, who I think a lot of people probably predicted Luton might not even win a single game all season. Well, they managed to get one over Sean Dyche's Everton. And I think, you know, let's just be honest, they're crap. We have to be beating them. I mean, they're 16th in the table at the moment. 16th in the table at home at Anfield is a game we should be winning regardless of who they are. So Liverpool have to win this game. In terms of injuries, it's not great for Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp confirmed today Stefan Bajcetic is still out. Thiago Alcantara, apparently he does still play for Liverpool, but he also is still out. Ben Doak, of course, picked up an injury. He is out. And of course, Andrew Robertson, dislocated shoulder whilst on international duty for Scotland, and confirmed today by Jurgen Klopp he will need surgery and he's going to be out for a very long time. I'll be honest, it doesn't sound good. Jurgen was talking about the fact that Joe Gomez can play as a left back, which is good because we can't rely on Kostas Tsimikas to play every single game from now on. That makes it sound to me like this could be a season-ending injury for Andrew Robertson, which is obviously not what we want to hear, but that's what it's sounding like. Let's wait and see what happens after the surgery, what they say the recovery time is, but it really doesn't sound good. But we'll get into the implications of that when we do the team selection. Cody Gakpo trained today for the first time since coming back from his injury, so I don't expect to see him feature in this game, but it's good to know that he's back. Might be available for midweek. Let's wait and see. Curtis Jones, obviously not injured, but he will be serving his suspension still for the red card at Tottenham, so he's not going to be available for this game either. Now, normally I would do a head-to-head, but I don't think there's much point embarrassing Everton. I think Jurgen Klopp's lost one Merseyside derby during his tenure at Liverpool, so I think it's fairly obvious that Liverpool tend to come out on top in these fixtures, especially at Anfield. The downside, of course, is it is a derby. Now, Everton, obviously, at the moment, let's just be honest and subjective about it, they're a terrible team, but this is a derby. This is one of those games. If Everton could only win one game all season, they'd probably pick this one. Liverpool away at Anfield. They'd love to do it. They're going to be up for it. They're going to give it 100%. Whatever team he puts out, they're going to really try. And the other downside is it's Sean Dyche. Sean Dyche at Anfield, we've seen it before many times. We know how it goes. He's very, very good at locking down that back line. He did it so much with Burnley. We found it so hard to press through that 11 at the back that he plays. I'm expecting that to be their setup, honestly. The plus side to that is this is not Sean Dyche's Burnley, it's Sean Dyche's Everton, and they are a much worse team. They can't do it as well as his Burnley side did. So, and on top of that, we've got Alexis McAllister and Dominic Szoboszlai now. We're a lot better at pressing through that and breaking sides like that down. An early goal is the key here. If we get a goal early, then that forces Sean Dyche to open up a little bit, and then we can really start to expose them and absolutely go to town on them, and maybe, you know, who knows, we could absolutely batter them, but it will all come down to that early first goal. So speaking of Alexis McAllister and Dominic Szoboszlai, let's move on to our team selection and see what I'm going to go with for the game. Okay, starting with the goalkeeper, it's obviously going to be Alisson Becker. There's no reason not to. Brazil, for some reason, start Ederson, so he's not even really had much to do during the international break. I don't know why they choose Ederson over literally the greatest goalkeeper in the world at the moment, which is Alisson Becker, but that's on them. You know, they paid the price. 2-0 loss to Uruguay. Alisson Becker is fresh and ready to go for Liverpool, so, you know, it's good news for us, Alisson Becker obviously starts in goal. Right back, similarly, Trent Alexander-Arnold did not play in the last England fixture, so Gareth Southgate's done us a little bit of a favour there in terms of he's allowed Trent to get some rest ahead of this Merseyside derby. So Trent Alexander-Arnold definitely starts. I think this is a key game where we need our best back four across that back line. So Trent obviously is part of that. Continuing that vein of thought, I'm obviously going to go with Ibrahima Konate and Virgil van Dijk as our centre-backs again. I just want the best back four possible for this game. Virgil van Dijk as well had a really good international break. And I think it's just obvious at this point, we know Van Dijk and Konate, they're our best centre-back pairing. We've got a midweek game coming up where we can rest and rotate potentially. So I don't see there being any reason not to start the pair of them in this game, especially with the 12:30 kickoff and all that. We know Klopp doesn't like it. There's no reason to take any risks here. That's what I'm going with. And then that brings us on to our left back, which unfortunately cannot be Andrew Robertson. We might not even see Andrew Robertson for a very long time. So let's talk about what we're going to do here. So I've gone Kostas Tsimikas. I think most people would pick Kostas Tsimikas, but the times we've seen him this season, he's not really put on that great of a performance. So I think this is a really big opportunity for him, knowing that Andrew Robertson is going to be out for some time. Someone is going to have to take up this mantle sort of semi-permanently. And Klopp mentioned today in the press conference that Joe Gomez can play in this position and Jarell Quansah can also play in this position, doing so for the youth team a few times. So there's potential for rotation here, but there's also potential for someone to pick this up as a more permanent role going forward for the remainder of this season. Whether that's going to be Joe Gomez or Kostas Tsimikas, time is going to tell, but this is a huge game for Kostas Tsimikas. I think most people would expect it to be Kostas Tsimikas, but he has to put on a good performance. He has to show Jurgen Klopp and the fans that he's capable of it, and this is a high pressure game. I think it's now or never for Kostas Tsimikas. I hope for a good performance because I do like Kostas. So I'm going to do the midfield three together because I think it's worth talking about them all as a unit for this game especially. So I've gone with Wataru Endo as the defensive mid, and I'm going Alexis McAllister and Dominic Szoboszlai as our central midfielders. Now the reason for this and the reason why I think this is so important, well, first of all, if we talk about our defensive midfielder, then it can't be Curtis Jones because he's serving his suspension. And that really only leaves us with two options. Stefan Bajcetic is out injured. Thiago Alcantara also out injured. So we're talking about here, do we go Alexis McAllister in that DM role or do we go Wataru Endo? Now, for me, McAllister's not great in that role. We've seen against Brighton the number of mistakes he made. I think personally, had we played McAllister in a more advanced role and had someone like Wataru Endo in that DM role, we may have even won that game. You know, a lot of the goals that Brighton scored came through mistakes from McAllister, and he made a lot of them. We've seen in the international break how good of a player McAllister is when he's in those more advanced positions, and that's absolutely where we need to be playing him. So for me, we have to go Wataru Endo in the DM role. He is an out-and-out DM. We know he can do it, so let's start playing him there. Alexis McAllister, that then allows us to play him in that advanced position. We already know the quality of Dominic Szoboszlai. We don't need to talk about that. We know he's star, and we know he is in our best midfield. I think this is the best midfield Liverpool have right now. That could change in January if we bring Andre in that DM role, but right now it's got to be Wataru Endo. He's an out-and-out DM, and interestingly, Jurgen Klopp was asked about all three of these players ahead of this game in the press conference, and he mentioned that all three of them are used to high-pressure games, so the fact that this will be their first Merseyside derby, could even be their first Merseyside derby altogether if this is the selection that he goes with. You know, he said that that wouldn't phase his selection. All three of them, they might not have played a derby before, but they have played in high-pressure games. Obviously, Alexis McAllister played in a World Cup final, but even the likes of Wataru Endo is a captain for his national side. He's been in plenty of high-pressure games themselves. You know, we've seen how well Japan did in the World Cup themselves, so I don't think there's any reason not to select these guys just because they've never played a Merseyside derby before, and I do think this is probably our strongest midfield that we have right now. And again, I want to see McAllister and Szoboszlai in those advanced positions in the midfield because I think it's so important that we get that first goal, and it's so important that we are able to break down the defense, the low block that we know Sean Dyche is going to put up. So for me, McAllister has to start as a central midfielder, and Dominic Szoboszlai is a no-brainer, so he's definitely in. And that hopefully will allow us then to get those balls in behind for our forwards, and if we get that early goal, we open them up and we could absolutely obliterate them. So fingers crossed that is what happens. Let's move on to that forward line. Starting with the right wing, it has to be Mohamed Salah. Ben Doak is out injured and we really don't have anyone else. Obviously, Mo Salah would have started this game anyway, being one of the biggest of the season, being the fact that he's Mo Salah and he doesn't ever want to miss a game. You know, Mo Salah's a no-brainer. Left wing, I'm going Luis Diaz. He was training with the team yesterday, so no reason why he wouldn't be able to play. International break, I don't think he really set the world alight, to be honest with you, but that's fine. Don't really care about that. As long as he comes back to Liverpool and puts in a good performance against Everton, then fine by me. And I still think he is our best player in that position at the moment. Of course, Diogo Jota can play there, Darwin Núñez can play there, but this is Luis Diaz's position, and for me, he definitely has to start. Now, we talk about the striker, we've got options here. I think Darwin Núñez had an incredible international break in terms of what he's been doing. Jota never really got that much time, so you could argue Jota could come in because he's well rested, but at the same time, a striker is the kind of player you want where their confidence is high, and Núñez will definitely have high confidence off the back of what he's been doing with Uruguay. The slight issue may be that it was reported when he was coming back from Uruguay that he had a cramp, and the long flight meant that those two things combined, he was unlikely to start for Everton. However, he did train yesterday with the first team in full training, so I think he is fit, and Jurgen never mentioned anything about the cramp issue or anything like that during the press conference, so I think Darwin can start. So for me, I'm going Darwin Núñez. I think it's only fair off the back of the international break, what he's been doing. You've got to reward that kind of play, and again, him being a striker, it's exactly the kind of player you want in there when they're high on confidence, because you want goals, and especially against this Sean Dyche side, you want that early goal. I think him and Mo Salah, the link up they've had this season, undeniably they are our best attacking pair. And I think alongside Luis Diaz, that's our front three. That is our best front three at Liverpool at this moment in time. And I saw an interesting stat in the week that Darwin Núñez has the most assists for a single player in a Premier League season of all time, because I think he's got 5 assists at the moment, but all 5 of them have been for Mohamed Salah, which is a pretty interesting stat. Obviously, you know, other players have had more assists than that, but it's the point that all his assists have only been for one single player, and that is apparently the most in Premier League history, which is fairly impressive. But what it does mean is that, you know, Darwin Núñez and Mohamed Salah have a really great chemistry together as a attacking pair. So for me, they have to start, especially in this game where we want to see a lot of goals. We want to see an early goal. We want to get off the mark really quick. So that brings us on to score prediction, because that's the team, that's the starting 11 that I'm going with. So if we look at the predicted winner, Liverpool 72%, a draw at 16%, and then Everton at only 12%. I think in a Merseyside derby, there's always a chance that it could be a draw, but I think Liverpool have to win this game. It is at Anfield. Everton are sitting 16th in the table. You would expect Liverpool to win that game regardless of who it is, so I've got to go with the Liverpool win. Personally, again, it does come down to getting that early goal, but I think we'll keep a clean sheet because they're going to be so focused on defensive, and, you know, if we get that early goal, we open them up a little bit, I think they could be in for a battering. So I'm going to be brave, I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to go for a 4-0 win for Liverpool. I think the safe choice is to go for a 3-1, but actually, if you think about 4-0, that's only 2 goals per half, which is definitely possible with that starting 11 against a team like Everton. Get that early goal and then blow them away. So I'm going Liverpool 4, Everton 0. As always, guys, get your score predictions down in the comments below. Let me know if you'd make any changes to that starting 11. If you are going the game, I will see you there. I'll be at Anfield for this one. And if you're not going the game, make sure you tune into Cop Logic, because Jake will be doing a watch along for this one. So get yourselves over to this channel for the game if you're not going to be there. And as always, guys, we will see you in the next video. Peace.